Salam. Welcome back to another episode of Achil's podcast. This podcast aims to inform travelers about places and cultures around the world through the perspective of locals and sometimes expats. My name is Hussein.
And my name is Hassan.
This episode is about Kabul, the capital and the largest city of Afghanistan.
Afghanistan is a country located in the heart of South Central Asia. Pashto and Dari, an Afghan dialect of Persian, are both the official languages of Afghanistan.
Yeah, so this episode is not about the entire country, but it's about Kabul. Kabuljon is known for its gardens, bazaars, and palaces. The city is over 3,500 years old. Please enjoy. Hello, Fatima.
Hello, how are you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you. And خوش آمدید.
خوش باشید, and I'm glad to be here.
Thank you. Yeah, خوش آمدید, it means welcome, right?
Yes, the same with our language.
One thing, in Tajikistan, if you are a twin, you are supposed to have a name like Hassan and Hussein, not other different names. Is it the same in Afghanistan? Because your name is Fatima, there must be Zuhra as
Do you
well?
have Zuhra or a brother Hussein?
It is common in Afghanistan too. When, for example, a family have twins, they prepare to name their children, for example, Fatima and Zahra, or Hassan or Hussein. But in my case, I don't have a twin. I was just named Fatima. But Fatima is quite a famous name in Afghanistan. Families prefer to name one of their daughters Fatima because of the religion.
Oh, I see. So your parents just they like this name.
First they named me Airan, but my grandfather was listening to radio, and they announced that Bibi Fatima, the Prophet's daughter, the Islam's Prophet daughter, was born a week like earlier. So they were like, if you have a newborn daughter, it's better to name her Fatima. So that's how they named me Fatima, and Iran became my last name, my second name.
Oh, I see. Fatima,
Yes.
would you please briefly talk about yourself and where you're from?
I was born in northeast Afghanistan, in Badakhshan province. When I was in 8th grade, my parents decided that we move to the capital because they wanted us to receive a better education in the capital. So we moved to the capital when I was in 8th grade, and I finished the school in Kabul. Then I applied for a scholarship to study at the American University of Central Asia in Bishkek, Kyrgyzstan. I stayed at AUCA for 5 years. First year, I studied preparatory programs, and for the other 4 years, I studied economics. My major was economics, and I also took some gender classes. I graduated in 2019, in June 2019, and I returned to Afghanistan. Since then, I have been working at the Ministry of Finance of Afghanistan as a senior specialist working for the bilateral economic commissions. I also write for some local magazines on finance section, and I also work with a local think tank. It's an economic where we do write policy papers, economic policy papers.
Wow, a lot of things.
Thank you.
Yeah, and in Afghanistan, you have many languages, right? And
Right.
dialects, maybe? Yeah, or which one are you using?
We have many languages in Afghanistan. We have Pashto, we have Persian, the dialect is Dari. We have Uzbek, Turkmen, Pashai, and a lot other languages. I speak Persian. Well, my father speaks Persian, but my mother is Uzbek. So I'm supposed to speak both languages.
Oh, so you can speak Uzbek.
A little bit, yes.
Wow, that's cool. What about, can you understand Pushtu? Pashto.
Uh, Pashto I understand, and I read as well, but I'm not fluent. Um,
Mm-hmm.
at the school, we learn Pashto from uh, fourth or seventh grade till 12th grade, but
Yeah,
yeah, I'm not fluent yet.
I see. And which one do you use mostly? I mean, which one is the major language?
So, if we, according to the population, more people speak Pashto, but they are in southern provinces. In northern
Mm-hmm.
provinces and in the middle, people speak Persian and Uzbek, Turkmen. In the
Oh,
capital, we mostly use Persian.
I see. Okay, since we are talking about Kabul, capital, how to
Yes.
say hi in Persian?
In Persian, like Arabic, we say salam.
Salam. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And how do you reply?
When someone says salam, we also say reply salam, and the other person would
Mm-hmm.
again say chiturasti, and the
Oh.
reply would be tashakkur khubastu.
Ah, so it's like, how are you? I'm good, thank you.
I'm good, thank you. Yes.
Wow. And do you also say kalai?
Qalai?
Yeah.
I don't
No?
think so. No.
Yeah, because this is we in Tajikistan say kalai. Kalai is like how are you, but it's more like a dialect, huh? Yeah.
Okay. We don't use that in Afghanistan. Maybe in some provinces or like in my province in Badakhshan, in border places, the dialect is more Tajik, so they might say, but in the capital we don't say it.
Mm-hmm. What do you think might surprise foreigners if they visit Kabul?
Oh, the first thing they might like a lot about Kabul is the food and how hospitable people are. So when foreigners come, they just go and have, they want to have kebab or qabli. And they also are surprised by how hospitable people are here. The main reason is that in Afghanistan, people are so welcoming of the foreigners. As far as, for example, if they land in Kabul, when a person sees a foreigner, they are so excited to talk to them, to learn about their culture, and to just to introduce themselves. And since people are like using internet is not that common in Afghanistan, and people interact a lot. That's why, especially when they see a foreigner, they would like to talk, and that's probably what is more interesting about people living in Kabul.
Ah. And do people speak English?
Um, People who want to work with the government or the private sector, and especially if they work with international organizations, it's kind of mandatory for them to speak English, because they have to be able to interact with our international with the international organizations in Afghanistan. That's why people try to learn English, and especially in Kabul, it's common to go to English centers and learn the language.
I see. And what about the outfit? What would you recommend people to wear?
To foreigners, you mean?
Foreigners, yeah. Let's say boys and girls. What's the proper outfit?
So in Afghanistan, we have for men we have a certain outfit. It's called perantumban. Um, when they come to Kabul, it's better for them. Not only Kabul, if they want to travel to other provinces, it's better if they prepare a perantumban for themselves, because it's gonna keep them local, and they can explore more with the local outfits instead of looking foreigner. And for women, since security is maybe not that good, and women wear scarves in Afghanistan in public areas. In public places, it's better for them to have a scarf, and maybe they can wear a shirt and a pant, but it should be covered. It should cover their body. Other than that,
Yeah.
in Kabul, it's okay. But if they travel to provinces, it's better if they wear like long clothes for their own safety.
Yeah, the long cloth, do you call that abaya?
Abaya, I'm not sure, but if they wear the black long clothes, which is not local in Afghanistan, it's imported from Arab countries. Some foreigners wear those.
Yeah.
Those are good to keep them safe as well, and also easier to interact with locals. But we also have our Afghani clothes, which is typically long, maybe until knee or a bit longer. If they wear those are beautiful too.
Yeah.
But they have to buy them from Afghanistan because I'm not sure if they are available in international markets.
We read that the brands like Nike, maybe Adidas, you will not really see these kind of brands when you just walk on the street. So people prefer to wear traditional clothes. Is that right?
Um, for men, they prefer to wear traditional clothes, especially in provinces. You hardly see people wearing international brands or clothes other than like parent of one. But for women, it's more common. They wear clothes that are imported from China or from Turkey. But now it's more common for women as well to wear Afghan products. It's more fashionable now, but also some people they want to support national products, local products. That's why women have started to wear clothes made in Afghanistan or the designs prepared or made by Afghan designers. Yeah. But about international brands like Nike and Adidas, we don't have the brands in Afghanistan, but we do have the fake ones made in other countries, or we also have the second hand. And the main reason is that people cannot afford them in Afghanistan. Maybe a minority group, or maybe 5 to 6% of the population could buy them. The rest they cannot afford the brands.
Yeah, I see. And I heard that some Afghanistan songs they don't just say Kabul, they say Kabuljon. That
We have a famous singer. His name is Farhad Darya. He has a song and he says Kabuljon Salam, Afghanistan Salam. So when people, when for example a poet make a poem, they prefer to call it Kabuljon because they love the capital so much, especially when our singers who live abroad, for example, in European countries or in America, they say Kabuljon, Salam Kabuljon.
Yeah, I asked because we use this John at the end of the name, like for example Hassan John. So is it the same?
It's the same in Afghanistan. Out of respect and out of love, we call each other John. For example, my friends or someone I don't know, but they maybe like me, they are gonna call Fatima John. For some people, it's out of respect, but for my friends, it's out of, for example, like if they love me or like me. And I also call other people John. John is like Tajikistan, mostly used for humans, but in Afghanistan we use for Kabul as well because we love Kabul.
Nice. And okay, before we move on to other question, one more thing about that was surprising for me, bone fixing places. So I read that people prefer to go to them, so they trust them.
It's very common here, yes. Especially, for example, in provinces, especially, for example, in my province, Badakhshan, if someone's bone is broken, they would just take them to a person who is famous for like fixing it. So they prefer to go to them, but because they trust them, they have been practicing this for maybe many years. But in Kabul, they prefer to take their children to a hospital if they feel that they feel that the bone fixer is not an expert, or might not be an expert to help their kids with fixing the bone. So they go to the hospitals, but in provinces it's more common to visit an old person who fixes bones after breaking.
Wow.
If I say a story of myself, when I was young, I used to fall down a lot, and I
Wow.
used to break my bone, my hands, both right and left. And I remember that there was this old person, old guy, um, who came to my home regularly to fix my bone. He would wash my hand with a soup,
Mm-hmm.
and use a bandage or something similar to that, and that would remain with my hand for like a month or maybe 3 weeks, and after that my hand was fine. So back then
Wow.
we didn't have a doctor, maybe in the village where my parents were working as engineers, but now my parents prefer to take my younger brother to a doctor.
Yeah. And we also heard that kiting is quite popular there.
It is very popular, yes. Uh, if there is a festival, so regularly kids play a lot of kite. I grew up with kites, and when there is a festival, a gathering, or a conference, part of the fun part is always, kites. Um, Everybody likes it a lot. It's kind of a tradition now.
Mm-hmm. And when is that
And
festival?
in spring, uh, maybe
Spring.
Nowruz, we
Nowruz,
have
ah.
like some national TVs. They hold this gathering in like a hill or something, and that's specific for kites.
Mm-hmm.
People go, but it's more common among boys than girls. Yeah.
Yeah. And for some people who are not familiar with Navruz, it's a traditional holiday in Central Asian countries that we celebrate in 21st of March, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Um, nice. If you could choose three aspects of your culture to put in a time box for the future, what would you put in it?
First, I would put Afghanistan's national attires. Um, as I said, there are many ethnicities living in Afghanistan: Pashtun,
Mm-hmm.
Tajiks, Uzbeks, and like Turkmen, Pashtai. They all have their own national attires, traditional clothes, and they're like colorful, beautiful. So I would definitely put attires from each ethnicities in a box, because I don't want them to get lost.
Mm-hmm.
The second is, I think our languages are beautiful, so we should make sure that they remain the way they are.
Mm-hmm.
And third, I would put food, because we have delicious food, and I love food. So these are maybe the three main things I would put in a box.
Uh-huh. And by our language, you mean Farsi? I mean Persian?
I would put Pashto, Persian,
Mm-hmm.
Uzbek. I mean the languages which are spoken in Afghanistan nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
And the main thing is we have really beautiful poetries, beautiful writings with these languages. So
Mm-hmm.
keeping these languages is keeping those poetry, those books, those stories, and we are able to carry those for future generation. That's why I think it's important.
Mm-hmm. And I'm curious about um wedding. We heard that
Weddings.
wedding is quite expensive there in
And
Kabul. In Kabul, yeah. And um
Mm-hmm.
I'm also curious, is it different from Tajikistan's wedding? Can you tell us a little bit about wedding process?
Um, I am not sure how different the wedding process is in Afghanistan from Tajikistan, because I haven't really been in a wedding in Tajikistan. But in Afghanistan, so a guy comes to a girl's house for asking for her hand from her parents. After they decide that they could marry, they are gonna, in most cases, they are gonna ask the daughter as well, the girl as well, and after her consent, they are gonna get engaged. After engagement, we have this tradition that the groom brings a lot of gifts to the bride's house for bride. When it's Nowruz or two Eids, or when it's Ramadan, they bring gifts for the bride. The gifts should include clothes, food, and some maybe jewelries for the bride.
Yeah.
And this is kind of very expensive. Each time a groom brings some food, some gifts for the bride's house, they should spend a lot of money. After that, it's the wedding time, and weddings are quite expensive here. First, we have a henna night. That's when they put henna in both bride and groom's hands. It's kind of like a wedding too, but only part of it. And tomorrow, that day, they have nikah. Mostly nikah happens, it's the main wedding day in hotels, and families invite 500 minimum and 1,000 people maybe maximum. It's between 500 and 1,000 people, and they have to be hospitable. The groom should buy the dress for the bride and the jewelries as well. So yes, weddings are quite expensive here, and the problem is that when a man wants to get married to a woman, he should have good savings, because weddings are very expensive, and sometimes the groom ends up being in debt because they have to borrow a lot from their friends or families for the wedding.
You know, the same thing here in Tajikistan. People have to borrow a lot. Yeah, but here it's not
Yeah, the same in
1,500.
Afghanistan.
Yeah. Here it's maximum, it's 150, right? Yeah, you can't invite more than that.
That's very good.
Yeah. Wow. And you said a guy goes to...
So it's just like,
Yeah, go on.
yeah, in Afghanistan, when someone gets married, he or she should invite all the friends, all the relatives, and all the neighbors. And if the person is working, all the colleagues.
Wow.
So they all end up, and families are big in Afghanistan. For example, if it's my wedding and if I invite my relatives, only one family of my relatives are gonna be like around 10 people. And also it's common to invite all the relatives, otherwise they're gonna be sad. That's why weddings end up being so expensive.
Yeah. And in a wedding party, in one room, men and women, they are in one room, or it's separate like Muslim wedding?
Mostly it's separated. For example, if they rent a hotel, the hall is separated, and it's half the hall. Men uses half the hall, and women uses half the hall. But in some families, they prefer to have the weddings mixed. Men and women share the same hall, but in most cases, it's separated.
I see.
Women use a different part, and men use a different part of the hall.
And also in the wedding, bride and groom, they wear traditional clothes, or it's more like Western?
Now, so they change two clothes. The first cloth is usually the traditional clothes. We call it Gandhi Afghani, and for men, they use perantumban, and they wear like a coat on it, and it's called waskat. So it's both clothes are made in Afghanistan, but for the second clothes they wear the white dress, which is like usual in all countries, like Western countries. So the second dress should be white.
What is your favorite place to visit with your family, your friends, or on your own?
With my family, we usually go to my hometown, Badakhshan, to my grandmother's house. I think that's the best place we gather as a family, and we have a wonderful time always. With my friends in Kabul, we go to cafes. We have a cup of coffee, and we talk about different stuff. If I travel somewhere on my own, I prefer to explore nature, and I mean, nature places I like the most. So, 3 different places.
Yeah, and can you also travel on your own? I mean, is it safe?
Inside Afghanistan, outside of Kabul, I cannot travel on my own because it might not be safe. But abroad, I always travel alone. When there is a conference, or if I just want to visit another country.
I see. And if we foreigners go there, do we need a guide there? Someone
Do we need a
local guide?
Yes, fortunately we do. Previously we didn't have a guide, but now if international tourists want to visit Afghanistan, we have tour guides in Kabul and in Bamiyan. Bamiyan is a central province in Afghanistan where the huge Buddhas were, which were destroyed in 2001 by the Taliban. So we do have tourist guides. And they take to like natural places, to like places where tourists want to see in Kabul or other provinces in Afghanistan. So yes, fortunately we do have good tour guides, and they are very good because they take the tourists to places where tourists want to visit. At the same time, they take them very low profile, and they make sure that they wear traditional clothes and they are not considered foreigners. That's how like they are very comfortable walking around in provinces in Kabul.
If a group of people just came to your hometown from overseas, let's say Kabul, and what advice would you give them in terms of to eat, maybe to try something?
If a group of foreigners want to, for example, come to Kabul, first they should eat local food. Especially, it's very important if they try kebab in Kabul, and also Qabuli pulao, and some other local dishes like mantu or shak. They're very famous in Afghanistan, and they're very delicious. But I would suggest them to visit provinces outside of Kabul. Because if, for example, especially they should go to Bamiyan where the Buddhas once were, but the place is still there. And we have like a very big lake. It's called Bandi Amir. It's a natural lake in the middle of the city. It's blue and it's big and beautiful. So I suggest them to visit Bamiyan. And also one amazing thing about Bamiyan is that the world's first oil painting is in Bamiyan as well. And also they should go to maybe Herat province. There is this huge palace called Qalai Ikhtiyaruddin. It's reconstructed, and the tradition is beautiful in the province. I suggest him to go to Kandahar, and I suggest him to go to my own province, Badakhshan, because if in like the center of Badakhshan is beautiful, but also they can try to go to like Pamer, which is in Afghanistan side, and also we have Kyrgyz people living in Pamer as well. Their tradition is completely different, so I would suggest them not to concentrate in other provinces as well. I mean, safer provinces. than only like trying to visit Kabul. Recently, we had some really international tourists. They came to Afghanistan. They were in Kabul for a few days, and they went to Bamiyan and Herat. And also, we have a lot of international tourists who just come to Badakhshan to visit Kyrgyz people there. So I would suggest them to visit like different places in Afghanistan instead of only coming to Kabul. Also, there is this thing too, if they want to, for example, try local food. Local food, for example, in Kabul is different from Bamiyan because they have their like local dishes that are not common in Kabul. Or in Badakhshan, we have local dishes that we do not find in Kabul. So foodie people should travel around as well.
Yeah, I see. Yeah, we found some interesting food. One of them is Bolani. Is that right?
Bolani, yes.
Bolani, yeah. We have that thing here in Tajikistan. Do you put meat or vegetables there?
We make bologna from different things. One kind we put potato inside. The other kind we put vegetable inside. Yes, these are two more common ways of making bologna. And in Ramadan, as it's now Ramadan in Afghanistan, and majority of people are Muslim, they make bologna for the evening when they break their fast.
Iftar?
For iftari. So it's for iftar, yes.
Yeah.
So it's very common in Afghanistan for families to prepare bologna for iftar. Like Muslim families, make bologna. And they make either from potato or from other like green vegetables.
Oh, so it's vegetarian.
Yeah, but there is this other thing called samsa. I think it's common in Central Asian countries too.
Yeah.
Yes, we put meat inside samsa.
Yeah, we have samsa with meat, and pumpkin, with some greens.
Yes.
Yeah, even with rice.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's
We
nice.
make bologna from pumpkin as well, and it's very tasty.
And you fry it, right?
Yes, we fry it with oil. So we put a little bit oil and the bologna inside, and we fry it like we fry both sides. It's delicious, but maybe not that healthy.
Yeah, once in a while. And
Once in a while, yes.
It's quite hard to be vegetarian here in Tajikistan because it's everywhere with everything with meat. Yeah. How about Afghanistan?
I understand. In Afghanistan, it's very hard to be vegetarian as well. Though people use vegetable a lot, but everyone prefers meat. So most of the foods we prepare, they somehow have meat in, like beside other things. For example, it's very common to make Qabuli pulao in Afghanistan, which is made of like rice, and it's not. It's like you cannot prepare Qabuli pulao without meat. So if you go to like an invitation or something, or a wedding, like meat should be in the food. Otherwise, the food is not complete.
Yeah, it's just a fried rice.
Yes.
Yeah, it's the same here. And we read that you have alo balo palaw, sweet rice, right?
Sweet rice. It's like Qabuli pulao. We make the rice, and then we fry raisins with carrot. We slice like very small slices the carrot, and we we do not burn them, but we fry them in the oil. We mix sugar with both, and then when the food is prepared, we put that on the rice, so it becomes kind of sweet.
Yeah, that's a little bit different. Our palaw is not sweet.
Yeah, Qabuli pulao becomes a little bit sweet. Yes.
Yeah, okay, I see. And one more thing, all the videos that I've watched about Afghanistan and some articles I read, they all the foreigners they say that it's not that dangerous to be there, and all of them they were so surprised, and they were so surprised by the hospitality, and they really loved it. Some of them they went to Afghanistan for the second time because they loved it so much. So, what do you think is the misconception about Afghanistan, but it's not really true?
Probably, maybe the misconception is that if someone wants to come to Afghanistan, they're afraid maybe the people, maybe everyone might attack them or something, or maybe people are not going to be welcoming of the foreigners. But once they land in Kabul, people are very nice in the airport. Especially, they see that it's a tourist who wants to visit their country, and especially if they walk around in Kabul, people are very hospitable. If they visit a local restaurant, people are very hospitable. So, but there are problems that we should not ignore. For example, if they travel a lot to like places where government does not have much control, they might face problems, especially if they
Yeah.
face, for example, insurgent groups or radicals. It might not be safe for them. But if they talk to ordinary local people, they are very nice. They are hospitable. They love to see foreigners in Afghanistan. And I'm sure that those who have visited Afghanistan, they have fortunately interacted with people in Kabul, and especially local people in like other provinces they have been. But yeah, people are hospitable and nice. It's just like in some places, the security is not good, and they should not prevent traveling to places where they are not sure if they are safe or not.
Yeah. So it's better to have a local friend, or maybe to have a
Local friend
guide,
and be
right?
cautious.
Yeah.
Yes, guide and dress local.
Yeah. I see. And if you want to go abroad, is it difficult for you to get a visa as a Afghani?
I have traveled actually many countries. I have been to Japan, Russia, the United States, Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, and some other countries. Personally, I have never faced any problem. I have just given my passport, and I have received the visa. And maybe mainly the reason was that I was going to for academic conferences or for exchange program. That's why
Yeah.
it was easier, because I was invited through an academic institution.
Yeah.
That's why it was always easier for embassies to give me a visa, to issue my visa. But there are, for example, if I want to go as a tourist to a European country or to the US, the chances are, there are high chances that they will not issue my visa, because the security is maybe not good in Afghanistan, and our citizens, when they go to like a European country or the United States or Canada, they might not return. That's why there are problems if I want to receive a visa for tourist or business purposes.
Yeah. I see. And when is the best time to visit Kabul? Kabul.
I suggest the springtime, because the spring or summer, winter, maybe the second choice. I do not suggest the tourists to visit Afghanistan in fall or autumn, because the weather is not that good, because it's kind of dry. Spring, it's green, it's beautiful. Summer, we have a lot of different good fruits that they might enjoy. They are fresh, taken from the tree. So if they want to try different delicious fruits, they should come in summer. In winter, it's cold, but if they like to visit like places in winter where there is snow, I do suggest the winter as well.
Yeah. And Fatima, how people can find you?
They can add me on Facebook. My name is Fatima
Yeah.
Airan. or Fatima Airan, or they can send me an email to fatima.airan.13@gmail.com.
Okay, yeah, we'll add that in the description. And anything else you would like to say before we wrap up?
Thank you very much. And I want to add one more thing for international hikers. If they want to explore high peaks, we have good mountains if they want to visit. And also we have very good hiking groups now that they can contact. It's called Hike Venture or Peak.af. They can contact them, or I can introduce them if they want to, for example, explore Pamir or Baba Mountains or mountains in Salang. So they can join.
Oh, thank you. Interesting.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Fatima. Yeah, we know that you are so busy. You're doing so many things, but you still found some time for us. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me, and it was a pleasure talking to you.
Yeah, likewise. And do you also say hi when you want to say goodbye?
No, we say Khuda Hafiz. It's like goodbye.
Khuda Hafiz.
Yes.
Khuda Hafiz?
Khuda Hafiz, yes.
Okay, Khuda Hafiz, everyone. Thank you so much for listening to our podcast. If you have any questions or comments, you can send us an email at theachilofs@gmail.com. And you can find us on all the major podcast platforms like Spotify, Google, Apple Podcasts, Castbox, and so on. Until next time, goodbye.